Hey everyone, Noir here. Let's get into today's Reddit story.
At my brother's engagement party, my father picked up a heavy metal camera stand and smashed it into the side of my head while I was 8 months pregnant. I still remember the sound of it. I remember the cold marble floor hitting my body as I fell. I remember the blood from my forehead running down onto my stomach and my unborn daughter. And while I was lying there, my own mother grabbed the woman beside her and whispered, "Step back, don't get it on your dress." I also remember my brother calmly taking my car keys from my purse, putting them in his pocket, and walking away. They thought that was the end of my story. They had no idea it was only the beginning of theirs. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to ask you something. Where are you watching this from right now? What city are you in? What time is it there? Leave it in the comments. I read every single one, and knowing people are listening gives me more strength than you can imagine. My name is Hannah. I'm 31 years old, and I live outside Nashville, Tennessee. This is the most painful and at the same time, the most freeing story I have ever lived through. Growing up, I only felt noticed when I was useful. My parents, Robert and Patricia, had 2 children, my older brother Tyler and me. In their eyes, Tyler was always the one everyone cared about. He was confident, funny, and the kind of person who could make people forgive almost anything. I was the opposite. I was quiet, serious, and usually found with a book in my hands. My father worked construction jobs, and my mother did part-time bookkeeping. Money was always tight, but somehow I was always expected to help. Even as a teenager, the money I earned babysitting or working at the grocery store never really stayed with me. My mother always said, "Hannah, you're responsible, you understand. Tyler just needs more support right now." The problem was Tyler always needed more support. I paid for college completely by myself. I worked overnight shifts at a hotel, answered calls from angry guests, and went to my 8 a.m. classes after only a few hours of sleep. I graduated from Vanderbilt University with honors and a degree in computer science without any help from my parents. And somehow I was still sending them $1,000 every month since my sophomore year because my mother knew exactly how to make me feel guilty. I told myself it was love. I told myself one day they would finally see me. After graduation, my career moved quickly. I became a software engineer at a tech company in Nashville, earned multiple promotions, and eventually moved into a senior role in financial technology. Before I turned 28, I was making a 6-figure salary. Because of the way I grew up, I saved money carefully. When I was 27, I bought myself a black cherry Lexus LC 500. It cost $92,000 and I paid for it completely in cash. When I drove it home, I sat in the garage and cried for 10 minutes. Not because I was sad, because I realized I had kept a promise to the little girl I used to be. I had made it out. That car wasn't about showing off. It was proof that I had built something for myself. I met my husband Daniel 2 years before everything happened. He was patient, smart, and he noticed my family's behavior long before I was ready to admit it. After phone calls with my mother, he would hold my hand and say, "Viv, you don't owe them your peace." But I ignored him. I kept helping. I kept sending money. I kept believing that if I gave enough, they would finally appreciate me. 3 months before my due date, everything started to fall apart. My brother Tyler got engaged to Madison. Madison came from a wealthy family. Her parents owned 3 car dealerships in the Memphis area. Tyler was 33 years old and still borrowing money from our parents, but he desperately wanted Madison's family to believe he was successful. A week before the engagement party, he called me. "Hannah, you know I love you. I just need to make one good impression on Madison's dad. 3 days, that's all. I'll return it at the party. I just don't want to show up in a 2014 Civic." Then my mother called. And then she started crying. Then my mother told me I was being selfish over a piece of metal and asked if I didn't want my brother to be happy. So I gave Tyler the keys. I reminded him that he had 3 days and that I expected the car back at the engagement party. He agreed right away, like there was no problem at all. The engagement party was held at a private event space inside a historic building in downtown Nashville. It had exposed brick walls, Edison bulbs hanging from the ceiling, and the kind of atmosphere people pay thousands of dollars for. I arrived by myself because Daniel was stuck across town handling an emergency at work. He promised he would come as soon as he was able. I was 8 months pregnant, exhausted, uncomfortable, and honestly trying my best to be happy for my brother. By 10 p.m., I couldn't take it anymore. My back hurt, the room was crowded and hot, and all I wanted was to get home and rest. I found Tyler near the bar with Madison and her parents. I kept a polite smile on my face and tried to stay calm. "Hey, congratulations again. I'm going to head out. Can I have my keys back?" The second he heard that, his expression changed. Then he laughed. Not a normal laugh. It was the kind of fake laugh someone makes when they want an audience to hear them. "Your keys? Hannon, what are you talking about? Mom and Dad gave me that car for my birthday 2 years ago. It's always been mine." I felt my stomach drop. "Tyler, I bought that car. My name is on the title. You borrowed it from my driveway 4 days ago." He turned toward Madison and shrugged like he had no idea what I was talking about. "I don't know what's wrong with her. Maybe it's the hormones." Madison lifted her hand, and my key fob was hanging from her finger like some kind of prize. "He gave it to me as an engagement gift," she said. "It's so sweet." Before I could even respond, Robert and Patricia came over from both sides and started pulling me away from the crowd. My father grabbed my arm so tightly I knew it would leave a mark. "You are not ruining this night. Do you understand me?" he whispered. "He needs this. You can afford another car. You make plenty of money. Stop making everything about yourself." "He stole from me," I said. "I'm calling the police." That was when something changed in my father's face. I have replayed that moment in my mind more times than I can count, and I still can't explain how quickly everything happened. I saw him look around the room. Then I saw him look toward the videographer's equipment near the wall. There was a large aluminum tripod holding a professional camera setup. I didn't understand what he was about to do. Not until it was already happening. He walked over, grabbed the tripod, and pulled it free. Then he swung it. The metal frame hit the right side of my head with so much force that I felt it everywhere. In my teeth, my spine, and my hands. My glasses shattered. The skin near my temple split open. I stumbled backward and my pregnant stomach hit the hard edge of a banquet table. The pain that followed was unlike anything I had ever felt. It wasn't just pain. It felt like something inside me had exploded. I collapsed onto the floor. In that beautiful event space, surrounded by decorations and happy guests, I was lying there bleeding from my head, going into labor early, and screaming for my daughter. Then I looked up. I saw my mother pulling Madison away so the blood wouldn't get on her dress. I saw Tyler push my keys deeper into his jacket pocket. And I saw my father calmly hand the tripod back to the videographer and say, "She tripped." Daniel got the call from my cousin Brooke about 30 seconds after it happened. He was only 4 blocks away. He rushed through the doors with 2 paramedics and 3 Metro Nashville police officers. At first, he didn't say a word to my family. He dropped to his knees beside me, pressed his jacket against my head, and looked at me with an expression I never want to see on his face again. Then he stood up. Daniel works in data infrastructure, and he had previously worked with a security company responsible for camera systems at several venues owned by this hospitality group. He looked directly at my father, pointed toward the security camera above the banquet table, and said something I will never forget. "This building's security footage is saved to the cloud in real time. I'll have it pulled within the next 10 minutes, so whatever story you're about to tell these officers, you should think very carefully." My father's face changed immediately. I was taken into emergency surgery less than 40 minutes later. Our daughter was born at 11:47 p.m. that night, 6 weeks early. She weighed 4 pounds 14 ounces. The nurse told us she had one of the strongest cries she had ever heard from a premature baby. I was unconscious when she was born. Daniel saw her first. He told me later that the first thing he did was tell our daughter about me. I recovered. She grew stronger every day. And from my hospital bed, I started planning what I would do next. I contacted the district attorney's office the same week I was released from the hospital. Daniel's attorneys had already taken steps to preserve the security footage. Every camera angle was saved, every second was recorded, and there was no way for anyone to argue with what the video showed. Tyler was charged with felony theft of a vehicle worth more than $90,000. Robert was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon against a pregnant woman. In Tennessee, an attack on a pregnant person can come with additional sentencing consequences, and his defense attorney clearly wasn't prepared for how serious the charges were. Patricia was charged with being an accessory after the fact because she gave false information to the police. For almost 10 years, I had quietly supported my family. I paid their rent, helped with their bills, covered their phone plans, and even paid for a storage unit filled with Tyler's belongings. After everything happened, I stopped. I followed every financial connection I had to them and cut it completely. The lease payments ended. The phone lines were disconnected. Credit cards that had been opened using my information were frozen and reported to the credit bureaus. The storage unit was given up. For years, I had been the thing holding their lives together. I was their safety net. And this time, I took that safety net away. Madison's family ended the engagement before Tyler's first court appearance. Her father released a statement through their lawyer, and I heard that Tyler broke down when he found out. 7 months later, I watched the sentencing hearing from my living room through video. My daughter was sleeping against my chest while the security footage played in the courtroom. On my screen, I watched the video beside a live feed showing my family sitting there in orange uniforms with chains around their wrists. Robert was sentenced to 13 years in prison. Tyler received 8 years. Patricia received 4 years of supervised probation and a felony record that would stay with her for the rest of her life. When it was over, I closed my laptop. My daughter moved slightly in her sleep. Outside, my black cherry Lexus was sitting in the driveway where it belonged. Before you leave, I want to ask you something, and I genuinely want to know what you think. Do you believe I went too far? A lot of people who hear this story become quiet when they reach the part about my mother. She wasn't the one who swung the tripod. She wasn't the one who took my car. But she stood there while I was bleeding on the floor and worried about protecting someone's dress. What would you have done if you were in my position? Tell me in the comments. I read them. And if this story connected with you, if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, or if you've ever given everything to people who never truly valued you, consider subscribing. I share new stories every week, and I want you to remember one thing: you are not alone. Stay safe and hold on to the people who truly deserve your love.